At a glittering corporate gala, all eyes were on the wealthy investors, polished executives, and powerful leaders. But in the middle of the room, one man sat quietly at a table, completely overlooked. He was different. He was deaf. While others laughed, exchanged business cards, and toasted champagne, he was ignored, dismissed as if invisible. No one knew that this man held the keys to $1 billion opportunity. The room buzzed with ambition, but it would take someone completely unexpected, a maid's young daughter, to unlock the deal that would change everything. Before we continue this story, go ahead and subscribe to our channel and like this video, so we can bring you even more amazing stories like this one. The grand ballroom of the five-star hotel sparkled with chandeliers, its marble floors echoing with the confident steps of CEOs and investors from around the world. It was the annual Global Business Summit, where multi-million-dollar contracts were born over glasses of wine and fleeting handshakes. Among the many distinguished guests sat Mr. Adrian Cole, a man whose presence was both understated and commanding. Unknown to most, he was one of the wealthiest private investors in the energy sector. But Adrian had lived most of his life with silence. Born deaf, he relied on sign language and written communication, often finding himself underestimated in circles where words and voices dominated. That night, he sat at a round table near the back of the ballroom, overlooked by nearly everyone. The servers passed him quickly, unsure how to engage. The hosts gave polite nods but quickly turned to others. For most, Adrian was just a quiet guest, unimportant compared to the chatter of power brokers at the center of the room. In the corner, near the buffet line, Maria, a hotel maid, stood quietly, watching the spectacle. Her job was to make sure the room remained spotless, glasses polished, and tables neat. But Maria had brought her 12-year-old daughter, Sophia, with her, since she had no one at home to watch her that evening. Sophia, unlike her mother, had a gift. She had spent years learning sign language at school as part of a volunteer program. It fascinated her, the beauty of silent communication. As she helped her mother collect plates and refill water, Sophia's eyes fell on the lonely man at the table, ignored by all. And in that moment, she noticed something no one else did: the quiet pain behind his polite smile. Adrian adjusted his cufflinks as he glanced around the room. Deals were being made in loud laughter, powerful gestures, and whispers of numbers that reached the millions. Yet he was left on the sidelines. He had received the invitation only because of his wealth, but no one truly welcomed him. As a server passed, he tried scribbling a note on a napkin, but the young man, too rushed and uncomfortable, smiled awkwardly and moved away. A group of executives at the next table laughed loudly, occasionally glancing at Adrian with a mix of pity and indifference. To them, he was that guest, someone they didn't know how to engage with. Business, after all, was about fast words, quick deals, and aggressive pitches. Who had the patience for someone who communicated differently? Adrian wasn't just ignored, he was dismissed. Meanwhile, Sophia continued helping her mother, but her eyes kept returning to Adrian. She noticed how his hands sometimes moved slightly, as if wanting to speak in signs but stopping himself, realizing no one would understand. When Maria nudged her to carry some glasses to Adrian's table, Sophia hesitated, then walked over. Setting down the tray, she looked directly at him and with a shy but deliberate gesture signed, "Are you okay?" Adrian froze. His eyes widened in disbelief. For the first time that night, someone had spoken his language. His lips curved into a genuine smile, and he signed back. "You know sign language?" Sophia nodded eagerly. "Yes, I learned in school." From there, a silent conversation began. Adrian asked her about her life, her school, and why she was there. Sophia, though nervous, responded confidently. Then, he shifted the conversation toward why he had attended the summit. He explained, through gestures, that he was here to explore partnerships for a new renewable energy project, a multi-billion-dollar plan to transform cities with sustainable power. But no one had approached him, no one cared to listen. Sophia, realizing the weight of what he was sharing, asked him to wait. She hurried to her mother, who looked both confused and alarmed. But Sophia insisted she could help him. With Adrian's permission, she became his voice. Sophia approached one of the event organizers and carefully translated Adrian's signs, explaining his interest in investment partnerships. At first, they dismissed her, a child speaking on behalf of a man they barely acknowledged. But when Adrian himself stood behind her, nodding, the room began to shift. The organizers reluctantly introduced Adrian to a group of executives. Sophia stood between them, signing rapidly and translating with accuracy. What started as disbelief turned into shock as the men realized who Adrian was, one of the largest private investors in renewable energy, a man capable of financing entire cities. Suddenly, the ignored guest became the most important man in the room, and the only bridge between him and them was a maid's daughter. The ballroom's atmosphere transformed within minutes. Executives who once glanced past Adrian now scrambled to shake his hand, but he refused to speak through hurried notes or awkward gestures. He only communicated through Sophia, standing proudly at his side. For hours, Sophia translated, her small hands moving gracefully as Adrian laid out his vision for a $1 billion renewable energy initiative. The executives, once skeptical, leaned in, captivated not just by the potential profits but by Adrian's brilliance. And all the while, he made sure they understood. Without Sophia, this conversation wouldn't exist. The room that had ignored him now revolved around him. The same men who had dismissed him earlier now competed to be included in the deal. But Adrian was no fool. He had seen their arrogance, their prejudice, their inability to see beyond surface appearances. So when the final proposal was laid out, Adrian made his choice clear. He announced, through Sophia, that he would partner only with companies willing to invest not just in his project, but also in accessibility programs for people with disabilities worldwide. The room erupted in whispers, disbelief, and finally, applause. A deal worth over $1 billion was sealed that night, not by the polished executives, not by the seasoned negotiators, but by the overlooked guest and the maid's daughter who had given him a voice. As the gala ended, the once invisible man walked out as the most celebrated guest. But when reporters rushed to take photos, Adrian gently pulled Sophia forward, making sure she was in every frame. Maria, standing in shock at the back of the hall, watched her daughter glow under the camera's flashes. She had come only to help her mother clean. Instead, she had changed the course of a global business deal. The next morning, headlines spread across the world. Deaf investor strikes $1 billion deal with help of maid's daughter. But beyond the headlines, something greater happened. Conversations about inclusivity, accessibility, and the untapped brilliance of those often ignored began to ripple across industries. Sophia was invited to speak at schools and conferences, inspiring countless others. Adrian ensured she and her mother were never forgotten, funding Sophia's education and securing a better life for them both. The lesson was clear. Greatness isn't always found in boardrooms or in loud voices demanding attention. Sometimes it lies in the quiet ability to listen, to see those others ignore, and to bridge worlds with compassion. And so, what began as an evening of arrogance and ignorance ended with a billion-dollar reminder that no one, no matter their circumstance, should ever be made to feel invisible. After all, how many brilliant opportunities have we lost as a society simply because we failed to listen to those who spoke differently?